The perfect celebration, or a hidden truth. 760 words. The warm glow of string lights cast a golden hue over Emma's backyard, illuminating clusters of guests engaged in easy laughter and clinking glasses. The scent of grilled food mingled with the sugary aroma of Emma's birthday cake, an extravagant two-tiered creation perched on the patio table. Sophia stood near the bar, sipping her wine, eyes naturally scanning the lively gathering. This was exactly the kind of celebration Emma deserved, carefully planned, filled with warmth, and brimming with people who adored her. But amid the seamless merriment, something felt off. Sophia couldn't pinpoint it at first. It was just a whisper of discomfort, an instinct that tingled at the edges of her awareness. Her gaze swept across the guests again, this time with sharper focus. That was when she saw it. Daniel, Emma's husband, standing a little too close to someone who wasn't his wife. Lena. The woman was striking in a way that demanded attention. Long, dark hair cascading over her shoulders, a dress that hugged her figure just right. She was someone Sophia only vaguely recognized from past gatherings, a distant acquaintance of Emma's. Normally, that wouldn't be noteworthy. But what was noteworthy was the way Daniel leaned in toward her, his expression alight with something just shy of innocent. Sophia frowned, tilting her head slightly. Daniel was a charming man, naturally charismatic, always playing the role of the perfect husband in public. But right now, his smile was different. Softer. More engaged. Lena laughed, tossing her hair back, her hand briefly brushing his forearm. The movement was subtle, almost imperceptible, but it sent a ripple of unease through Sophia's stomach. She wasn't the only one who noticed. "Is it just me?" a low voice murmured beside her. "Or is Daniel really enjoying Lena's company?" Sophia turned to see James, another mutual friend, standing at her side. His gaze, sharp with amusement yet tinged with something else, concern, was fixed on the same scene. "You see it too," Sophia muttered. James exhaled, shaking his head. "I mean, I get friendly banter, but that's a little much, don't you think?" Sophia didn't respond right away. Instead, she observed. Emma, preoccupied with greeting guests, remained oblivious. Daniel, on the other hand, had shifted even closer to Lena. He said something that made her giggle, and then, as if they were sharing some inside joke, he leaned in, his lips dangerously near her ear. Sophia's grip tightened around her wine glass. She wanted to believe there was nothing to it. Maybe she was overanalyzing. Maybe Lena was just a flirt, and Daniel, well, he was just being friendly. That was possible, wasn't it? But then Daniel did something that made her stomach drop. Lena shifted her weight, placing a hand on the small of her back as if adjusting her stance, and Daniel's fingers brushed against her waist. It was quick, just a second, maybe two, but enough for Sophia's breath to hitch. A mistake. A coincidence. An innocent touch. She tried to rationalize it. But deep down, she knew better. "Still think it's nothing?" James asked quietly. Sophia sighed. "I don't know." But she did know. And the worst part? Emma didn't. For the next hour, Sophia tried to push her unease aside. She mingled, laughed at stories, even helped Emma cut the birthday cake, pretending the knot in her stomach wasn't tightening with every passing minute. But no matter how much she distracted herself, her gaze kept drifting back to Daniel and Lena. At one point, she caught Daniel watching Lena from across the patio. His eyes lingered just a second too long. That was the moment Sophia knew. This wasn't harmless. It was something more. And whatever it was only just beginning. Unraveling the lies. 760 words. Sophia wasn't sure when she made the decision to follow them. One moment, she was locked in conversation with James, nodding at his half-hearted joke, and the next, her feet were moving, carrying her toward the shadowed edge of the patio. Daniel and Lena had slipped away minutes earlier, their absence almost imperceptible amid the noise of the party. But Sophia had seen it, the way Daniel glanced around before leading Lena toward the side of the house, away from the crowd, away from Emma. She told herself she was overreacting. That she was just looking for proof that didn't exist. But the dull thrum of anxiety in her chest pushed her forward, compelled her to know the truth, even if she wasn't sure she wanted to find it. As she rounded the corner, the music and laughter faded, replaced by the hushed murmur of voices. Sophia pressed herself against the cool brick of the house, her breath shallow. Just a little longer, Daniel's voice, low and edged with something unfamiliar, drifted through the night air. Lena's response was softer, teasing. You're the one who keeps looking over your shoulder. Sophia's fingers curled into her palm. A pause. Then a quiet chuckle. Daniel's. I can't help it. Emma's right there. Sophia's stomach dropped. Lena sighed, the sound light, indulgent. If it's such a risk, maybe you should walk away. Another beat of silence. Then Daniel's voice, steady. You know I can't. Sophia's pulse roared in her ears. This wasn't just harmless flirtation. This wasn't just a misunderstanding. This was something real, something deliberate, something that made her breath catch and her skin prickle with a cold, creeping dread. A part of her wanted to storm forward, to make her presence known, to demand an explanation. But another part, the part that still clung to the hope that she was wrong, stayed frozen in place. Then, the sound of footsteps. Panic flared in her chest. If they saw her, if Daniel knew she had heard, what then? She turned quickly, moving back toward the party before she could think twice. She needed to tell Emma. But as she re-entered the bright, buzzing atmosphere of the backyard, doubt gripped her. How could she say it? Happy birthday, Emma. By the way, your husband is sneaking around with another woman? Sophia exhaled sharply, frustration knotting her stomach. She needed proof. Something undeniable. Something Emma couldn't dismiss as paranoia. And then, fate handed it to her. Emma's voice rang out over the music. Has anyone seen my phone? Sophia's head snapped up. Emma stood near the patio table, scanning the surface with a frown. I swear I left it right here. James, standing nearby, pointed toward the chair. Check under the napkins. Emma lifted a stack, then shook her head. Nothing. I'll help look, Sophia offered quickly, her mind already racing. They searched the immediate area, the table, the bar, even the grass near the fire pit. Nothing. Finally, Emma sighed, rubbing her temple. Maybe I left it inside. Sophia followed her through the back door and into the kitchen. The house was quieter, dimmer, a stark contrast to the warmth outside. Emma moved toward the counter, checking near the sink. I don't get it. I had it when we cut the cake. Then, suddenly, a soft chime. Both women froze. The sound was faint, but unmistakable. Emma turned, eyes narrowing. Did you hear that? Sophia nodded, her gaze sweeping the room. The sound had come from near the dining table. Slowly, Emma approached, hesitated, then reached beneath a pile of folded napkins. There it was. Her phone. Sophia exhaled in relief, but it was short-lived. Because the screen was lit, a message preview glowing against the dark surface. One unread text. From Daniel. Can't wait to see you again. Last night was amazing. The room went still. Sophia watched as Emma's fingers tightened around the device, her breath hitching. The blood drained from her face, her expression slipping from confusion to something raw and fragile. What? Emma's voice faltered. She swallowed hard, blinking rapidly as if trying to make sense of what she was seeing. What is this? Sophia didn't know what to say. Because there was no explaining this away. No misunderstanding. No doubt. Just the cold, brutal truth staring them both in the face. And it changed everything. The truth comes out. 760 words. Emma's fingers trembled as she gripped her phone, her eyes locked on the message glowing on the screen. The room, once filled with the comforting hum of a celebration, now felt eerily silent. Sophia watched, her own pulse hammering, waiting for Emma to say something, anything. Then, Emma exhaled, a sharp, broken sound. This can't be real. Sophia wished she could agree. Without another word, Emma turned and stormed toward the backyard, her heels clicking against the hardwood floor with unwavering purpose. Sophia followed, her breath tight in her chest, dreading what was about to unfold. The party was still in full swing. Guests laughing, glasses clinking, the scent of burning candles lingering in the warm night air. But all of it faded into the background as Emma spotted Daniel across the patio. He stood near the fire pit, drink in hand, mid-conversation with James. Emma didn't hesitate. "Daniel." Her voice cut through the noise like a blade. Conversations halted. Heads turned. The weight of expectations settled over the gathering as Daniel looked up, his easy smile faltering at the sight of his wife striding toward him, phone clutched tightly in her grip. "What's wrong?" he asked, playing at nonchalance. But Sophia saw it, the slight shift in his stance, the quick flick of his gaze toward Lena, who lingered nearby. Emma stopped a few feet from him, her chest rising and falling with uneven breaths. She held up the phone. "You tell me." Daniel's eyes landed on the screen, and for the briefest second, something flickered across his face. Shock, calculation. Then, he recovered. "Emma, I don't know what." "Don't," she cut him off, her voice sharper now. "Don't lie to me." A ripple of unease spread through the guests. James took a cautious step back, exchanging a wary glance with Sophia. Daniel ran a hand through his hair, forced a chuckle. "This is ridiculous. You think, what? That I'm having some kind of affair?" Emma's jaw clenched. "I know you are." Her voice wavered, but her resolve didn't. "I saw you with Lena tonight. I heard you." She took a step closer, her expression raw, searching. "How long, Daniel?" Silence. Then, Lena sighed dramatically. "Oh, for God's sake." All eyes turned to her. She took a lazy sip of her drink before leveling Emma with an unimpressed stare. "You act so surprised, but deep down you had to know." A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. Emma flinched as if struck. The color drained from her face, but she refused to back down. "You think this is a game?" Lena smirked. "I think your marriage was over long before I came along." Sophia's stomach twisted in disgust. Daniel's mouth opened, then closed, as if scrambling for the right words. But it was too late. The truth had already been spoken, its impact irreversible. Emma let out a shaky breath, and when she spoke again, her voice was quieter, but no less powerful. "I loved you, Daniel." Her eyes glistened under the soft glow of the patio lights. "I trusted you." Daniel had nothing to say to that. A long, unbearable silence stretched between them before Emma finally nodded, as if arriving at a painful but inevitable conclusion. Without another word, she turned on her heel and walked away. Sophia followed, not looking back. As they stepped inside, away from the prying eyes of the guests, Emma stopped, pressing a hand to her forehead. Her breath hitched, and for the first time since reading that text, her shoulders shook. Sophia placed a steady hand on her friend's arm. "I'm so sorry." Emma let out a soft, bitter laugh. "I should have seen it. I should have known." Sophia squeezed her hand. "None of this is your fault." Emma blinked rapidly, fighting the tears that threatened to fall. "What do I do now?" Sophia met her gaze. "You walk away. And you don't look back." The words settled between them, heavy with finality. And in that moment, Emma knew. Her marriage had ended the moment she saw that message. She just hadn't realized it until now.